Well, I was at the park and I was on swings and I was chit-chat. And then they started talking about this, and I tried to record it on the swings, but I think it just was too windy. So we're in the car, undercover. But I was sitting on the swings and they were talking about clouds, and they just kept saying you're undercover. You're undercover. And not like undercover like a spy. Undercover like you're protected. You are shaded, you have cover. And they were showing me like a hat, but they were calling it a cap, and blue. 2 yellow finches as I'm talking about this. So yellow finches might be a sign for somebody, as birds are super big messengers right now. But they were showing like this cap being put on somebody's crown, but not in a bad way, not in like a sinister way, as being like put there by source to limit the amount of light being shown during transition. And I know that sounds weird, but they were talking about something about too much light draws too much attention, and they have you covered for a reason right now. They talked a lot about the winds of change, and when they were saying the winds of change, they were saying how the winds are blowing change in, and it's going to sound weird, but they were talking about blowing change in and rolling the clouds away. And the clouds, because we've been sitting at the seat of the observer, the clouds have been covering the truths. The clouds have been covering somebody's false narratives. The clouds have been covering somebody's manipulation, somebody's trickery, somebody's subtle lies that add up to big lies is the way that I want to say it. Somebody's foulness. I don't know why that's important, but somebody's foulness. And they're talking about the winds of change are blowing the cloud cover for these types of individuals. And we just gained a third red finch. Not red. What is the colors today? A third yellow finch. So 3 yellow finches and counting now. So that's got to be a sign for somebody. And they're talking about how you're not crazy. They're saying you weren't crazy, you're not wrong, and you weren't mistaken. The story's changing. The lies are shifting just a little bit. The narrative's changing. The details are changing. The timeline doesn't make sense anymore. And they're talking about chronologically, they're changing their story, and you see it and you're not wrong, and they want you to trust it. But they're talking about how I don't believe it till I see it, as much faith as you have. There's something about you have to see it with your own eyes before you believe it. And I feel like this is just because it's so deeply rooted in your energy right now. It's so deeply rooted in love, in the heart space, that we make a lot of excuses for it, is the way that I want to say it. You've made a lot of excuses for it. And then I had this old guy, and I'm not sure whose old man it was, or what necessarily he represented, but he was older, maybe like 5'5", 5'6". He had like very like leathery kind of skin, kind of on the thinner side, and I want to say he was wearing a hat. But he was just talking, he was just sitting there, and he sat down on the swing next to me, and he was very quietly observing, and I just feel like he represented more the ancestral side. And I want to say the ancestral side is back. I want to say that they're in full assistance mode of you right now. I want to say that they're the ones who are, is what I want to say, like blowing the wind to clear the cloud cover, but they're just saying be cautious. And they're talking about how you cannot remain covered forever. And they're talking about you. And they're saying when they clear the clouds, there will be a window, and they keep calling it a window of time. There'll be a window of time where you see what you need to see. But then they're saying you have to be prepared to act on it. You have to be prepared to act on it on whichever way you feel called to act on it. But you need to be prepared to move. Movement. You need to be prepared for action. And they're just saying that your clouds will be cleared last. And that's why they capped you, so your light didn't give you away right away. But they're talking about it's inevitable. The clouds are being cleared for everybody. So your pullback, your observation, your energy shifts when you start realizing some of these truths, some of these manipulation tactics, these whatever, these lies. you're going to out yourself by accident is the way that they're saying it. Even though you're not necessarily doing anything wrong, you're going to out yourself in the fact that you've switched up, you've changed up, and you won't be able to fake it. And they're just talking about how the manipulator here has lost more control than they realize. But they're saying when your cloud cover clears, they will take notice that you are completely different. And they're saying that they lost control of you because you gained your worth. You gained your self-worth. So you no longer care what their narrative is. You no longer care what they think of you. You no longer care what way they talk or spins things about you. And because they can no longer emotionally control you, they have lost all control. And they're distracted right now because their lies are coming to the surface, and they're trying to play catch up, and they're trying to maintain their false narrative as much as possible. So they're distracted dealing with while you're sitting, I want to say back in the cut, while you're sitting back in the cut and watching it all from that seat of the observer, the bleacher seats, the higher perspective, you're just taking it all in. And your team is telling you they're giving you as much time as you need because they know that your heart and soul needs it in order to have closure on whatever actionable move you're going to take. But they're just warning you. I feel like I just keep hearing, kiddo can't stay forever. Kiddo can't stay forever. Kiddo, we can't cover you forever. And I feel like this is on repeat with this masculine energy. But I don't know who needs to hear this. You're not wrong. And they just keep talking about the winds being winds of change and blowing the cloud, the fog, the smog off the bullshit. And I want to say the Pied Pipers come to collect. I want to say like rents due, the Pied Pipers come to collect. That's the way I want to say it. And I feel like it's like paying the ferryman kind of a deal. Like time's up, time to pay up is the way that it keeps coming out. And I know this is really kind of like ominous. Like it sounds really ominous, but it's very metaphorical. It's very metaphorical. It's very metaphorical. But I don't know why that's important for whoever it's important for. Bye, guys.